Hello everyone, this is Daniel, and let me talk about a few things. And I know this is going to be maybe a video that doesn't get too many people, but whatever. Anyway, so let me talk about what hell is first, and let's go on. So you do know that you either choose the earth and hell, or you choose Jesus and heaven. So who owns the earth? Well, mainly it's Satan, but Jesus also owns the earth, and Satan is he's not the original owner of the earth, but Satan is he basically is kind of renting the land, and he rules the land a little bit. Not just a little bit, but basically he he basically rules to the point of, his people are his people, and he basically, if anyone wants to be part of the world, he's part of Satan. So anyway, so where does hell completely, it is darkness beyond darkness, fire beyond fire that does not show its light. Ever have, well, I don't know if you have your dreams, but it's like everything is so dark that not even a light bulb even is bright. It's all dark. It's like a sleeping, but everything's like black. Like, close your eyes and see that the light is not really it's not really black, but the fire is like you closing your eyes. And it gets worse. There are many monsters and demons torturing you, and it's like prison, but much worse. It gets worse. It's really full of pain and suffering and separation from God, and not only that, a lake of fire that millions and billions of people go into, and they're always burning and gnashing their teeth and cursing at God, and they wish for the worst of their own bodies, and they wish they could get out, but they'll never know. They never will, and they'll preach all the horrible things of death, and they'll never get out, and they'll be all depressed, and it's horrible. So just remember that hell is absolutely horrific and terrible. And not only that, it's not worth your time. So accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior as He accepted you on the cross, and you will forever be saved. Now another thing I want to talk about, I'll never stay on this planet forever. I will one day go to meet God and, be judged by what I've done according to my works, and, it's going to be interesting, but, I'm not a perfect person, and I bet you all know that later on. However, just by, some of you won't know it, but, I won't go into detail, but we're all sinners. And I've lusted, I've, been violent, I've been all that. But before I've been violent, but now it's less of, God takes away a few things and He keeps a few things and He gives a few things. Like He gave me preaching and evangelism, and He gave me love for animals and a kind heart for people. So if you're ever wondering, well, I'm worried about people that, they're going to hell, but I also want them to be happy as possible. But I love animals. I love to just look at them and just save them. That's all I am to animals, and what I'm to people is, I care about them, but I just don't want them to suffer too much. Not really a people person, but I'm an animal person, but really, I'm more of a people person when it comes to them not suffering. And that's all. Anyway, another point I have to say, and if I ever die, maybe today, maybe a few years, maybe down the road, Jesus did say, don't worry, you're going to heaven. And that was just today. He's done this before, and, just going invading my personal life and Jesus' personal life, but, it's fact, even though He doesn't want it, just say it in front of everyone, even though he's saying, well, let's not be proud. It's just seeing the facts. And this is not just facts, but this is basically, you know, letting you know that whatever I have to go through it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be heaven. And that's all that's going to be worth. And you think that's going to be the last? Well, I have a future testimony for if anyone of you want to know about this. Yeah, and I think you can leave if you want, but basically, there's something about video games these days, and you know, Everyone 10 Plus is stretched these days, but some of them are not. But let's go to Everyone 10 Plus, and Teen Rating is a little more stretched than usual. If a game is rated Everyone 10 Plus, they're having some issues. Not even some back then, but especially these days, where especially with Blizzard and other companies like that own parts of other games that are Everyone 10 Plus, like Crash and Spyro, but I think Crash had its own problems for Everyone 10 Plus, but then there's going to be another one that is going to be even more of an issue. So Crash had its torture, and then Spyro had its real action moment. But I think it's going to be more action with Spyro than anything else, and then there's going to be a scene involving a death, and not just a death, but the main character's mother. And ESRB, I know that you're wondering what's going on with me knowing about this, but hold on. You know that it's all dramatic in a way that his mother died and it's all about death. Maybe you should do a sensitive topic. Just have a meeting and get a new type of rating, because death and all that kind of problem is not really a kid topic that a kid should know. Kids are very sensitive to death, and the fact that they kill Spyro's mother off, and I do know about this by experience, not before. It's before time. Not before my timing, not before God's timing, but I know this beforehand because a certain someone told me. And you would know about this if you were stayed with this video. But a certain character dies off, and it's very traumatizing to kids, obviously, because of the way they did it. Maybe you should really change the rating to teen later on for other games because of thematic elements. Just saying. Because kids their minds are just forming, even at 10 and at 11. And then there's going to be younger players, and you obviously got to know that if you get teen rated for thematic elements, then it's going to be, if it's about death, then it's really teen for some sort of thematic elements. And for a kids game, it's gotta be teen rated, because death should not be a thing. So anyway, another thing I prophesy. So you say, okay, you're playing Crash, and yes, you can play Crash, but this is gonna be alright. So there's one way Crash can beat Spyro. It's by going behind him. That's all. That's all you can do, is go behind him, and he gets hit, but doesn't actually fly away, I meant to say. He doesn't fly away, but when Crash does his move, just do it 4 times and he's going to be all set. And Spyro, I mean it for good sake, make sure he doesn't go behind you. Also, know that if you play Spyro, he's gonna be easy. He's gonna be easy to be defeated. Just don't. Just I think this is gonna be a fact, but this it's not. That's say the Lord. But don't breathe fire on him when he is doing a flail attack, and don't ever charge at him because he will do a flail attack. The attack. So all you have to do is just breathe fire, and he will do the flail attack. And when you breathe fire on him enough, he will flail enough that he'll get dizzy, and then breathe fire on him again, and he will lose his spark thing. You do it 3 times, and he'll be defeated. I think it's easier with Spyro than it is with Crash, because with Spyro he's going to charge at you, and you're not going to be able to dodge it in time. And Spyro, you can charge at him and then do a flail attack, and he's going to do it a lot. So you can there's a move called back. You actually can back up, and he's going to go after you, and you're going to breathe him a lot, and then he's going to get dizzy, and then it's going to be easy from there on. Just do it multiple times. He doesn't have a different type of move at the end, nor Spyro, but just also with Crash, Spyro's gonna have a lot of different types of moves, and that's what makes it really hard. Spyro's gonna be really tough to beat, and there's 2 versions of the game. There's one with Crash, and then there's one with Spyro. Crash is in his own world, Spyro's in his own world. But meeting Crash is at the 4th home world. However, when it comes to Crash, I don't know. I haven't got information for that, but I do know that his home world is more of a side-scrolling, go front scrolling. It's going to be more hard, and I don't know. Excuse me. And then there's also the fact that there's 6 home levels. One of which is going to be a whole level in his own self. And the first home level is purple, so it's all kingdom. It's all like rubies and all that. No, it's all gemstones that are purple and all that good stuff. Blue is going to be wider. So the first one's it's all like literally kingdoms. Like Artisans is going to be one of them, and then you got to go throughout the whole entire level with a lot of kingdoms, and they do get smaller as time goes along. So the next one is called Water, and that's when the horrifying death scene happens. And all these water, like regular hot water, it's going to be cold water, it's going to be winter levels. Anyway, and the next one is Forest Green, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The next one's Technology, which is yellow, which is the electricity. Technically electricity, cool stuff like that. Orange is basically orange. What is that? It's not fire, but it's some sort of afterlife, which is the judgment, or basically the place of the dead. I don't talk about that too much. And then that's where Ripto reigns. Funny that. I don't know if that's how it's the lore, but I think that's what it is. And the next one is called Red. It's all fire, and that is where Dark Spyro reigns. And then behind Purple, I think it's Purple. What was it? Well, I think it's like, fire. The red is fire, and then next world is supposedly where the oceans and all the light have been taken over by Dark Spyro, and his castle is like a pirate castle or not. I think it's Beenox that did that, so they obviously made it look like Skylanders. So it's interesting. But you go on a whole bunch of islands. That's the 7th kind of home world, but it's interesting because it's not really a homeworld. It's actually you're trying to go swimming across the ocean and trying to beat some pirates on the islands and all that. And you go across this castle. I mean, you can still fly, but it prefers you to not fly because there's actually a limit to how high you can fly. A real big limit too, because once you go into, it's like it's literally some sort of, it's like cake, but I don't know, it has scripts. Like it has a layer, and every place has a layer. But once you go to the wire, it makes you go lower and doesn't make you go higher. So it doesn't make you go higher. It's actually some sort of layer that they designed in that whole entire level. But you know, there's limits how high you can fly, and then the whole entire level gets interesting because you know. It's like the whole place is very dark and very night sky, like, you know, very deep and kind of very, it's very dark. Then when you go to Dark Spyro, after you beat all the cannons and all that and all the pirates and all that, you go to Dark Spyro and he's actually, the first part of him is very much aim and then you get him. And the aiming part is very hard. Then it's the next part is for Powerhouse, and I don't know what happens after that, but I do know that something interesting happens after that. I don't know what. I haven't got the information about that yet. It's probably the reason why I don't give you spoilers, because the ending has a lot of spoilers, and you know that Dark Spyro as a final boss is going to be that difficult if he's a Powerhouse, because you know, in my dream I couldn't even defeat him. And I'm, you know, some games I can't defeat, and some games I can't finish, and some games I can. Well, it's mostly platforming, but if it's like a boss I can't defeat, like Ratchet and Clank, of course. But then this one's gonna be the basically the cake that basically. This one's going to be the frosting on the cake. And I try to put on top of it. Because when it gets to Powerhouse, I'm immediately done with. It's nothing like Ratchet and Clank 1 where I just have a lot of issues and I just don't have the weaponry to deal with it. But this one, he is like you. You play like him, and he learns to be like you. So he literally plays like you, but he's a Powerhouse. And that's how bad he's going to get. He's going to be really difficult to defeat. And if you don't know how to play Powerhouse, then you're most likely going to defeat him without too many problems. But if you know how to play Powerhouse, you're most likely going to be way defeated and not be able to finish the game. So my advice is, if you don't know how to play Powerhouse, if you know how to play Powerhouse very easily and you know how to do that too well, like you play a lot of Powerhouse games, have someone else play him. Have someone else play against him, because he's gonna learn on you. He's gonna learn, whoever plays the game, how to actually, you know, he's gonna learn all the codes of you playing against him, because he is, you know, he's your persona. So now here's the interesting part. Who owns all the 6 worlds, or the rainbow, as I can say? So who owns the rainbow? Spyro's the purple one, the first one. The second one is his mother. The third one is Elora. The yellow one is not Ratchet, Clank, or Crash. It's actually I don't know. Some guy with a laser shot that actually he misses because someone managed to get his laser gun actually getting away from him, and Spyro sees a laser in one of the trees and he says, okay, something's not right here. So you deal with him, then Ripto, which of course he's in the underworld. Go figure. And that's where you see a lot of spiders. It's funny how that's comparison to me. Then the last one is Dark Spiral, but it was supposed to be someone else. And now who saved Spiral's life in that? That's a spoiler, isn't it? Whoever saved Spiral's life from the laser gun, that's a spoiler. Then there's also Spiral's sister, which is all about winter themed, and the theme song for her one of her levels is rather beautiful. And then one of the other ones, I think the fifth one, it's very unnerving, actually kind of depressing. And when she realizes, well, the people that are dead and that live forever, or that are undead, they want to go after her and they just hate her so much that she feels bad for them. And not only that, the place is so cold in the Antarctica levels, they're just, it really drains her so much. It's like draining HP. It's actually a slow level, really difficult level to do, but it's also very slow. Very hard to defeat that level, and very hard to go past that level. It's really hard to go past that level. And the final point is, I'm not just streaming it just to see that's all that happened, but now, which one of those games came to pass? Well, there was one Sonic level that was kind of like weird. I don't know, it's like I don't know. Like I said, which game came to pass? I'm trying to think right now, but you know, there was Kingdom Hearts 3, which for the most part kind of looks like there's going to be another one, and that's going to be interesting. But then there was also the May bosses in Kingdom Hearts 3. I kind of had that on the edge, and actually what that's all about is, now I didn't get the details of it all the way through, but you know, it's going to be like a castle, but instead of a castle, I mean, that reminded me of a castle, but that kind of hard to defeat the bosses. But for me, kind of reminds me of that first Kingdom Hearts castle. But you know, it's all those guys combined, and then there was that one final boss that's really hard. Actually, it's, you know, you have to deal with all of them combined in that one level. It's all those bosses, all those people in that that Heartless, Nobodies, and even First. That's why you have to do all of them. You got to deal with all of them. And it's so hard to deal with that you won't be able to recognize that you did deal with all of them until you talk about it. And I had a dream that I was dealing with those the guy in the tree, and actually there was a tree of them. It was literally a tree of them. So it's very symbolic. But what about me knowing about the symbolism in Spyro? Well, one I know that was talking about a cold level was where Spyro's mother was at. It was like a kingdom, but really, it's complex. But really, it's not a kingdom. It's actually a level I don't know about, but unfortunately I'll figure out later. The water level is going to be all water, and the water is going to be so good. Actually, that just means everything's going to be pleasant to look at, even the oceans and under the oceans. That's all. And I'm running out of time. But then there's also it's all like literally a splash of water looks beautiful, and your splash looks beautiful. It looks pleasant. The water levels. Then the Ice Kingdom actually was almost literal because I was suffering. Might be a story for another time, but whatever. Then there was also the Sparrow Sister in that one's level. And it looks beautiful. It's basically the bridge looked beautiful, but it's a bridge to the sky, and how beautiful her level is to a bridge of the heavens. It looks so beautiful that it looks beautiful. So I think they know how to do beautiful special effects. That I do know. They know how to do beautiful special effects. And let me tell you, those special effects are going to be truly beautiful because nothing else going to look that beautiful, not even characters, so whatever. And what else? The underworld, well, it's literal underworld. It's not, it doesn't have a full ceiling, but there's going to be a lot of caves and weird stuff. I know if it's a literal underworld or if it's like graveyard and stuff, which I think it's going to be like graveyard, whatever, so, yeah. It's going to be like Halloween, so who cares? Then there's going to be fire, and that's going to be... It's going to be a mountain, which is going to be some sort of Kingdom of Darkspire, but it's going to be not a literal mountain. It's going to be a mountain of enemies, or something like that. Probably going to be a war zone, so nothing like that, so yeah. And what else? First Spyro levels where they deal with dragons. It's probably going to be having the same level. It's probably going to have the same level as Spyro 3, which is probably going to be funny, but it's not going to be funny at the same time. It's going to be pretty darn cool. They're going to have the Japanese level. They're going to have all the kingdoms in one home level. And then there's going to be something like the Matrix, but it's not going to be like Matrix. It's all about getting the new moves in and actually dealing with a character I don't know about. What else? Oh, and he's going to learn it from those kids, and that's, you're going to figure out where the kids are. It's probably going to be futuristic and all that, but I don't know about that, unfortunately. It's going to be a gambling place, so the kids are probably going to be rich. They're probably going to be very rich. Who knows? Anyway. But the reason why I say gamble is because really they're gambling their own lives, even though they're rich, getting the gems from them. And they say, oh, we could get the gems from Spyro. If it's a gamble of which thing they say is right. Do you pay or do you not pay? Well, I only have 2 minutes left, but you know. And Crash. Well, let's say that the last thing I say is that Crash is going to be in the mix, but he's going to be in a different game or in another game. He's probably going to be, most likely he's going to be in a different game, but who cares? Anyway, I think I've said enough, and I'm going to have a huge download, but it's not going to be huge. It's going to be like megabytes, nothing, actually. I think, no, gigabytes. No, yeah, it's going to be megabytes. So the whole thing is going to be just megabytes, but you know, this camera can hold up to 120 gigabytes, and you know, 120, was it 120 gigabytes? Yeah. I know how many gigabytes this camera has, but it has a lot. Over 100, obviously, but you know, just remember, sometimes you don't know about people what they are symbolizing in the dreams, but it means something that, and I have very little time left. I'll probably make it part 2, but you know, symbolism in my dreams are so off the charts about what they really mean that it's not meant to be a spoiler, but it's really meant to be something to learn, to get to know the story more, and see what the people are, how the people are playing, and see, oh, that's what it means. Because remember, the symbolism is only very short, but it's very, very true, even though it's tried.